Call of Duty World War II is in an interesting situation. Call of Duty 4 was an instant success, making Call of Duty a household name, and it stayed this way for many years. But as more and more years passed, negative comments got louder and louder, stating that they're paying $60 to play the same game year after year. Activision's response to this was to take the franchise into the future, giving us jetpacks, wall running, and heroes. The negative comments got louder, stating that this made Call of Duty play like garbage. Activision's response to this was to take Call of Duty back to World War II, and the negative comments got even louder, stating that we've already played this before and that this has become boring. You can't win, and people are always going to complain. I myself was conflicted upon hearing World War II's announcement. I didn't like the jetpacks and wall running, and I really hated heroes. Anything that adds an element of randomness, I can kill you in one hit even when you do everything right, is something that really does not belong in a video game. But at the same time, the only multiplayer Call of Duty games that I really liked were made by Treyarch, Black Ops 1 and 2, and the last Call of Duty game Sledgehammer made was Advanced Warfare. So Sledgehammer to me is an unproven developer, and I wasn't sure if I would really like the game or not, but it had my interest and that was a good step forward. So has Sledgehammer proved himself, or is Call of Duty World War II a big flop? Well, let's take a look at it. The first thing I should state is that I'm not focusing on the PC port quality here. I made a separate video on that. If you want to see that, click the link down below in the comments, or wait till the end screen, and I'll link it there as well. The maps in Sledgehammer's last game, Advanced Warfare, felt a little bit too random for my liking. There wasn't many obvious lanes, and they were very vertical. It always felt like I could get shot in the back and there wasn't a whole lot I could do about it. Thankfully, World War II didn't follow this. Instead, it almost feels like they've ripped Treyarch's maps off directly, and that's not a bad thing. Every map is a 3-lane design. That may make it sound like every map is the same, but this isn't the case. The lanes may be a little more interesting than just being a hallway. They might be a series of trenches, and the map size changes this up pretty drastically. One map may be good for SMGs and shotguns, whereas another may be good for snipers. This 3-lane design is much better than what Advanced Warfare had, as it allows you to properly predict where the enemy is going, and promotes movement throughout the map. On top of this, I didn't find any obvious camping locations, as every camping location had numerous entrances. Not too many to be overwhelmed, but not too little to make it too hard to dislodge someone. So as a whole, I actually really liked these maps and didn't really have anything negative to say about them. Next, let's talk about the guns. The complaint I hear most often about World War II from people that haven't even played World War II yet is, ew, they're the old guns again. This comment simultaneously makes me want to slap them across the face as hard as possible, while also slightly agree with them. I want to slap them because it's an obviously closed-minded, ignorant statement, but I do slightly agree with them because there is a little bit of truth here. You're a little bit more limited in what you can do with World War II compared to some of the previous settings. For example, in Black Ops 2 you had guns like the AN-94, where the first 2 rounds fired faster than the rest of the magazine, and you could tap fire it to make it shoot faster. In general, the designs were just a little bit more interesting in Black Ops 2 because they had a little bit more freedom. You don't really have this freedom in World War II. With that said, every gun serves its own purpose, and I did find them all to be very rewarding and fun to use. Let's take SMGs for example. SMGs are supposed to be used up close, give you less movement penalty, and really promote you moving throughout the map. Even within this run and gun role, which is rather specific, each SMG feels like it has its own unique role. The WAF is that crazy fast high-firing weapon that is best used at closest range as possible and hard to control at anything past that and has damage that drops off ridiculously quick. But on the flip side, on the far end of that, you have the grease gun, which is sort of like, say, the UMP in Modern Warfare 2 that works a little bit farther out. Probably not that strong though. The same could be said for the other weapon categories. A lot of people were claiming that the SMGs are incredibly overpowered, but I'm not actually seeing that. What I'm seeing is a lot of people not understanding the maps, not knowing what they're supposed to be doing, and as a result they're dying from the quote-unquote easiest guns in the game to use. Keep in mind, people also said this about Black Ops 2, but as the meta developed, more and more people started using assault rifles and LMGs, and overall, all the guns were used in the game. I see the same thing happening with World War II. None of the guns seemed useless and they all seemed to have their purpose. People were just complaining because they don't understand the game quite as much right now. I guess the bottom line here is that the weapons were fun to use and did seem to be pretty balanced. The one thing I did find to be a little bit overpowered were the incendiary shells for the shotguns. These things were pretty ridiculous. They have burn damage, they kill you from a pretty ridiculous range, and the only real counter to the incendiary shells is just to run with the incendiary shells yourself. When the entire meta involves using the same thing that is killing you to counter said thing that is killing you, yeah, it's pretty obvious something's a little broken. The last thing I want to talk about are the divisions. Divisions are the biggest change they made to Call of Duty, but they also made the game a lot simpler. There's a division for every single type of weapon. For example, the infantry division uses rifles, whereas the airborne division uses SMGs, so on and so forth. With every division, you have a division skill. The infantry has the ability to put a bayonet on their gun, the airborne has the ability to put a suppressor on their gun. Airborne, using SMGs, as you level it up, you will get more perks for that division, and generally this is centralized around faster movement. You will be able to sprint for a longer distance, get increased sprint speed, and be able to climb over obstacles faster. So this should be somewhat familiar, say that would be like dexterity in Black Ops 2, or endurance in some of the other games. So effectively the perk system has been swapped out for a division system that is a linear skill tree. I don't know how I feel about this because this makes divisions and perks really boring. You can't really mix and mash different perks to make this weird build that you want to do, you're instead stuck with a linear skill tree, and that's what you got. But at the same time, it is pretty nice to go into a menu and just go, alright, I'm choosing one division, don't have to do anything else, no other micromanaging, just click and play. Overall, I do think it hurts the game more than it helps it, but part of me is kind of happy they did this just so I could be more lazy and get into the action immediately. For those that are curious, there are 5 different divisions, one for each type of gun: SMGs, shotguns, rifles, light machine guns, and sniper rifles. On top of this, there is basic training, which effectively acts like one perk you can choose no matter what division. This may be steady, which would make you immune to shell shock and tactical equipment, or forage, which makes you swap weapons faster, throw equipment faster, and resupply ammo and equipment from dead enemies. But that basically sums it up. If it sounds like your generic Call of Duty game, well, that's kind of because it really is, and I honestly am perfectly okay with this. I really just wanted more Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, but instead I kept getting wall-running jetpacks and heroes, and I never asked for any of this. I detested all of it, and just simply didn't enjoy it. Everyone complaining that they've played this before, I don't quite understand those comments. You really don't go to Call of Duty for a new experience, you go to Call of Duty for a Call of Duty experience. If you want something new, go play something else. If you want faster movement and jetpacks, well, I don't think this really fits Call of Duty. Instead, play Titanfall. This game is pretty fun, and I definitely do plan on buying it on launch, but the big asterisk really is, do you want more old Call of Duty? If yes, then buy this game. If no, well then skip by it, because you'll only fill the internet with more comments complaining about how it's the same thing they've already played before, while also still buying it. The real next question is how Treyarch is going to approach this next year, and that really has my interest. Did you know that you can donate real money to me for free by playing video games? That's not sarcasm, check the Gawkbox link down below in the video information. If you want to donate the old-fashioned way, check the Patreon link down below in the video information as well. And if you want to see more of me, check out my Twitch, or maybe you can donate on stream, twitch.tv/Jarek4GamingDragon.